The movie opens with Odysseus already a legend. 10 years of war behind him, told only in flashback, brief and bloody. But the movie never really answers the question. Why was the king of Ithaca standing outside the walls of Troy in the first place? And what did he actually do there for a decade? That made the gods themselves hate him enough to curse his way home. To understand it, you have to go back further than the war itself. Back to a wedding on Mount Olympus, and a golden apple thrown by the one goddess nobody invited. The apple is inscribed to the fairest. 3 goddesses claim it instantly. Hera, queen of the gods, Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, and Aphrodite, goddess of love. None of the gods dare judge between them. So the contest is handed to a mortal, a Trojan shepherd prince named Paris. Each goddess offers him a bribe. Hera offers power over all of Asia. Athena offers unmatched wisdom and skill in war. Aphrodite offers him the love of the most beautiful woman alive. Paris chooses Aphrodite. It will start a war that swallows a generation of heroes. The most beautiful woman alive is already married. Her name is Helen, Queen of Sparta, wife of King Menelaus. Years earlier, when every king in Greece wanted to marry her, one suitor proposed a solution to stop them tearing each other apart over her. A binding oath. Whoever she chose, every other suitor would swear to defend that marriage with their own swords forever. That suitor was a clever young king from a small rocky island. His name was Odysseus. The oath worked. Odysseus never wanted Helen for himself. In exchange for the idea, he asked for the hand of Helen's quiet, clever cousin, Penelope, instead. He got his happy ending. Or so he thought. Years later, the Trojan Prince Paris comes to Sparta as an honored guest. With Aphrodite's help, he seduces Helen and sails her back to Troy. Some say she went willingly. Some say she was taken. Homer himself never fully decides. What is certain is what happens next. Menelaus calls in the oath. 1,000 ships begin to gather. But on the island of Ithaca, one sworn king has no interest in going. Odysseus has a new wife, an infant son named Telemachus, and a prophecy ringing in his ears. If he sails for Troy, he will not see home again for 20 years. So the cleverest man in Greece does the only thing he can think of. He pretends to be insane. He yokes an ox and a donkey to the same plough, an animal pairing no sane farmer would ever use, and walks his fields, sowing salt into the earth instead of seed. It almost works, but the Greek envoy sent to fetch him, a sharp-minded prince named Palamedes, isn't convinced. He walks out into the field and sets baby Telemachus down directly in the plough's path. Odysseus swerves the blade around his son. A madman would not have noticed. His secret is exposed. He will go to war after all, and he will never forgive the man who forced his hand. Odysseus isn't the only reluctant hero the Greeks need. A prophecy says the war cannot be won without the greatest warrior alive, a young demigod named Achilles. To protect him from a prophecy that he'll die young at Troy, his mother has hidden him on a distant island, disguised as one of the king's daughters. Odysseus is sent to find him. He arrives disguised as a traveling merchant, laying out jewelry and fine cloth for the princesses to admire, and hidden among the gifts, a sword and a shield. Then he has a war horn sounded outside, as if the palace is under attack. Every princess screams and flees. Only one grabs the weapons. Achilles is caught. He joins the war, knowing it may kill him, choosing a short, glorious life over a long-forgotten one. The Greek fleet is finally complete. 1,000 ships gather at the port of Aulis, ready to sail for Troy. But the wind dies. The fleet's commander, King Agamemnon, has offended the goddess Artemis, and she refuses to let a single sail fill until he pays a price no father should ever have to pay. the life of his own daughter, Iphigenia. What happens next depends on who is telling the story. In the oldest, darkest versions, she is sacrificed on the altar and the winds return. In others, Artemis pities her at the last instant, swaps her for a deer, and spirits her away to a distant land, alive but lost to her family forever either way. The wind returns. The fleet sails. Troy's walls are the strongest ever built, some say raised by the god Poseidon himself. The siege that follows will last not weeks, not months, but 10 full years. Year after year, the war grinds on. Champions fall on both sides. Then in the war's final year, Achilles' closest companion Patroclus borrows his armor to rally the exhausted Greeks, and is killed by Troy's greatest warrior, Prince Hector. Achilles' grief turns to rage. Achilles kills Hector in single combat outside Troy's gates. Then, blind with grief, drags his body behind his chariot in full view of the city walls. That night, Hector's father, King Priam, sneaks alone into the Greek camp and kneels before the man who killed his son, begging for the body back. Even Achilles is moved to tears. He returns it. Achilles does not survive the war either. Dipped in the river Styx as an infant, invulnerable everywhere except the heel his mother held him by. He is struck there by an arrow from Paris, guided, the poets say, by the god Apollo's own hand. The greatest warrior of the age falls to the man who started the whole war. With Achilles gone, his magnificent armor is put up for a contest between the two greatest remaining warriors, Odysseus, the war's cleverest mind, and Ajax, its mightiest arm. Odysseus wins it, not with strength, but with words. Ajax, humiliated in front of the entire army, is consumed by rage that night, and in a fit of madness slaughters a herd of livestock, believing them to be the Greek commanders who wronged him. At dawn, seeing what he's done, he falls on his own sword. Brute strength keeps failing. A prophecy names 3 more things the Greeks need before Troy can fall. Achilles' teenage son must join the fight. A legendary bow abandoned years earlier must be recovered, and a sacred statue must be stolen from inside the city itself. Odysseus is sent to arrange every one of them. Years earlier, a Greek archer named Philoctetes was bitten by a snake and abandoned, screaming, on the island of Lemnos. His agony was disturbing the army's sacrifices. Now Odysseus must sail back and somehow convince the man the Greeks betrayed to fight for them again. He carries the one weapon that can end the siege, the bow of the hero Heracles. With Philoctetes' bow, Achilles' son Neoptolemus on the field, and one final act of theft still needed, Odysseus slips into Troy itself in disguise, beaten and bloodied for cover, to steal a sacred statue of Athena from her own temple, said to protect the city as long as it remains inside the walls. Every omen is fulfilled. And still, after 10 years, Troy's walls stand. Odysseus realizes the truth the whole war has been avoiding. This city will never fall to strength. It will only fall to a trick. His plan: build an enormous hollow wooden horse, hide the best warriors inside its belly, then burn the camp and sail the fleet out of sight, leaving the horse behind as a supposed offering to the gods. A master craftsman named Epeius builds it, guided, the poets say, by the goddess Athena herself. A single Greek soldier, Sinon, is left behind, deliberately captured by the Trojans. His story is perfect. The Greeks have given up and sailed home, he says, and the horse is an offering to ensure their safe voyage. Built too large on purpose, so that if the Trojans dragged it inside their walls, the gods would bless the city forever instead. It is exactly the kind of lie that makes people want to prove it right. A priest named Laocoon isn't convinced. Beware Greeks bearing gifts, he warns, and hurls a spear into the horse's flank. Moments later, two enormous sea serpents rise from the water and kill him and his sons in front of the entire city. The Trojans read it as punishment for doubting the gift. They tear down part of their own wall just to drag the horse inside. One voice keeps screaming that it's a trap. Princess Cassandra, a prophetess cursed by the god Apollo to always speak the truth and never be believed. Tonight, like every night of her life, no one listens to her at all. At night, as Troy celebrates its victory, Sinon slips out and signals the Greek fleet, hiding just beyond the horizon. The hatch in the horse's belly creaks open. Odysseus and his warriors climb down into the sleeping city and throw open the gates. Troy burns. What follows is not a clean victory. King Priam is killed at his own household altar. Hector's infant son is thrown from the city walls, so no avenger can grow up to threaten Greece again. And inside the sacred temple of Athena herself, Cassandra is dragged from the altar where she sought sanctuary. A war that began with a goddess insulted, ends with a goddess's own temple defiled. Poseidon had backed the Greeks the entire war, furious at Troy's king for once cheating him out of payment for building these very walls. But this, a sanctuary violated, a goddess's own temple desecrated, is a different kind of crime. Poseidon and Athena, protectors of the Greek fleet for 10 long years, turn against the very men who won. None of the men boarding those ships know it yet. Odysseus stands on his deck, watching Troy burn behind him. The war finally won, his own cunning the reason for it. He has no idea that the very trick that ended the war has just cursed his way home. He thinks he is sailing back to his wife and son. He is about to be gone for 10 more years. This is where the movie actually begins. This is the story everyone knows. The Cyclops, the witch Circe, the sirens, the 10-year voyage home. But now you know how he got there. If you want the full 20-year journey, from the first storm to the final homecoming, it's waiting for you right on this channel.